What a blessing you are to us and have been. And you may not realize, but you were very instrumental in the birth of Roman Street. It was because of our love of music that you and I met. Tony and Nick, and I don't know if you know this story, were a European guitar duo that came into our lives. It was divine intervention. They came to the U.S., and I had the opportunity to book their tours. So I met Bob. And through him, he was instrumental in helping me get Tony and Nick booked here. And through that, Noah and Joshua learned from Tony and Nick. And 5 years later, Roman Street was born. So, thank you very much. And I just want to thank you for all that you've done for Roman Street and your support and your love to us through the years. And it is an honor to be here tonight. We love you and your precious family very much.
The original group, but I've known Bob for so long I can't imagine him not being there since the very beginning. Our volunteers, and there are several out in the crowd, it is an extremely special group. We can't do what we do without that group. And those smiling faces and helpful people that you see when you walk through the door, Bob has always been part of that. And through that, Patty introduced Bob and Margaret. So we feel this enormous connection between Bob, the singer, the entertainment community, and music in general. We always look forward to having Bob and Margaret there because of their zest for life. They don't want to do anything but stand out on the sidewalk and make people smile before they ever get in.
Most interested in jazz than anybody I know, I guess. This award that he's receiving is deserved more than anybody I know. Congratulations, Bob.
I think one will leave something behind when we go, and sometimes the stuff that means the most, that lasts the longest, aren't the things we think of most often. It's not necessarily the names on the banks or the libraries or the museums. How we touch someone really in a way is none of our business. When our actions, the results of our actions, sometimes has very far-reaching effects, not just at the moment, but across time.
And he was always really enthusiastic. He came to our Mojo stuff without fail. He was eager to help. And then, I guess about a year later, right before Mobile's tricentennial, he asked me to be on the board for Mobile Jazz Festival before they were going to do the special 3-day, or was it 2-day, multi-day Mobile Jazz Festival for the tricentennial. And going to those meetings, a lot of things were evident. It was clear that that body was kept going by Bob's enthusiasm and his diligence. It was also clear that if you ever wanted to read anything that Bob wrote, don't ask him to do it by hand, because he has the tiniest handwriting. I mean, tiny, tiny handwriting. You would have a magnifying glass. But it also told me that he was a meticulous individual as well. But it was obvious that he loved the music that he was promoting. And then through the years, he's always been there for Mojo. He's always been enthusiastic about doing Mojo Jambalayas. He's always been enthusiastic about being involved on the board. And it became clear that even though he was a salesman with the initials BS, he could be counted on. And just that he's a great asset to Mobile's cultural scene. And then it came to me last year. I thought about if you took all the years that he volunteered for Mobile Jazz Festival, and as far as I know, he wasn't getting paid, right, Bob?
Never.
And then the 15 years or so that he's been a volunteer for Mojo, that adds up to about 40 years of volunteer work for jazz in Mobile. Now, some of it might have been one on top of the other, but still, that's 40 years. So I wanted to thank Bob for that and for all the lives that he's touched in Mobile with all his work, and congratulations on the award. You deserve it. Don't break that open. Don't use those stamps.
They've already... Read it, Kevin. Please.
You're assuming I can read.
Yes.
This is a Jazzalea Award presented to Robert, quote, Bob Spielmann, 24 April 2017 in Mobile, Alabama. And for those that can't see it, it is a sheet of Sarah Vaughan commemorative stamps.
First issue cancellations.
First issue cancellation, yes.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
All yours.
Absolutely unreal to me. They hit me with this about a month ago, and I was absolutely floored that I would be the recipient of this Jazzalea Award, second annual. And now that I get it, all I can say is deeply thank you for it. I don't know why I'm getting it, I really don't.
It's about damn time.
There are so many more people that are more deserving to get this. Cat Certain for one. Hosea London for one. Joe Lewis, Ralph Holberg. There are so many, just to name a few. But why they picked me, I don't know, but I'm glad that they did. I think the only reason they did is because I've been hanging around for so long. They finally figured that they have to do one of two things. They either give me the award, and maybe I'll go away, or they better give it to me now because I might not live to get it. So it was one or the other. But my whole life has been jazz music. It all, quite frankly, very briefly, let me tell you, it all started when I was a kid. I was just born, I was hanging around. And my mother said to me, you've got to take piano lessons and you got to take violin lessons. Okay, it'd keep me from hanging around the house. So I did. And then I got to high school and they had a band in high schools. So I decided, since at that point, Gene Krupa was my idol, that I would play drums. So I played drums for 4 years in high school. Now this goes back at the start of, well, not the start, the middle of World War II. So as soon as I got out of high school, I went into the service. And when I got to the Navy, here I was, a raw recruit, and I was just hanging around. And I noticed that they were forming a big band. But the one thing that they needed was a bass player. So I said, well, if you have a bass, I'll play it, because I know how to read music. I just have to learn how to finger it. So I played bass in the Navy band. That took care of that. After the service, went to college, and for 4 years I played in a jazz group in a little club, played drums in a group, and I also had a jazz radio show on the college radio station. And right next door to the radio station was the newspaper, and I was hanging around. So I said, you want me to write a column in the paper? So he said, sure. So I did. It wasn't a music column, it wasn't about jazz, it was a gossip column, actually. But the one good appointment that they gave me was every time a big band came into, this is Rochester, New York, every time a big band came through, they were all touring at that time, I got the job of interviewing the big band leaders. So I'm down there, I'm interviewing Vaughn Monroe, and Tony Pastor, and, I don't know, Duke Ellington, Woody Herman. And this was just great for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And they also gave me a free ticket to the show. So why not do it? And but I finally got out of college and went to work. And I worked for 28 years in New York City. And that's a great place to work because I knew every jazz club in New York City. And I frequented all. I used to hang around. Just hang around the clubs. And it seemed to me that was the thing to do. And but then finally, the opportunity came to come to Mobile. And in coming down here, I knew that Mobile had a very good jazz festival that had been going for a number of years, that was started by J.C. McAleer. And I said, well, when I get there, I definitely want to be part of that. But when I first got here, Carmen and a bunch of other people, we got together and we formed a little group called the Jazz Blues Circle. And we did that for about, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years. And then that folded. But in the meantime, I was hanging around the jazz festival. Everything that they had going on, I'd hang around. Finally, JC said to me, would you like to be a member of the board? And I said, very definitely. So I became a member of the board, little knowing that eventually I would be president of the Jazz Festival. And that was just an absolute kick, which included, we started also the International Collegiate Jazz Festival. We had jazz bands from all over the country that came in here, and they were judged by professional musicians that we had in town, that we brought into town. And we did all of that. And anyway, and then of course, when Mojo got started, I was there the night that Kevin took the wooden spoon and hit it on a salad bowl and said, the meeting is in order. And we've been here 16 years, and we're still keeping it going strong. So that's how I got here, and that's why they're giving me this award, just because I was hanging around here. One more thing. Besides the Jazzalea Award, the one thing tonight, there is no better gift that I could be given than the Mobile Big Band Society. That big band has always been my jazz, and they are so great. So I'm so glad they hit it. I want to thank Ralph Holberg and the board for voting to have them here tonight, and it is indeed a #1 gift for me. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Drive safely.